What's up, y'all? The new winter patch brought along quite the meta shift. Y'all know the drill. Let's cover the ranking criteria for this meta and get to it. Right off the bat, the meta-defining character is absolutely Jewel. With Oath and Zeph nerfs, Jewel is stronger than ever. So a lot of how the meta is defined right now at the top level is about the interaction between Oath and Jewel. A lot of these characters are going to be looked at in the lens of how they interact with these two characters. Each tier will be briefly shown at the top left of your screen, so let's start with D tier. Holy moly, it's the first time Aluna has not been D tier in one of my videos. What is going on? D tier has Jhin and Shrike. Starting with Shrike, to be honest, she isn't really even all that bad. Neither is anyone else on this list. Each character just does infinitely more than her in this meta. You are going to be shooting an Oath Shield, or you are going to be struggling to kill the countless other ranged DPS that all have an easier time pressuring you than you have with them. That being said, with the game being where it is right now, if you are hitting every last one of your shots, you can probably successfully carry quite a few games right now. Jhin struggles with a similar fate. I think he can be really good against Oath, but with the insane ranged burst potential this meta focuses on and the amount of knockback in strong kits right now, it makes him pretty difficult to pull off. Same thing with Shrike though, if you were hitting all of your abilities, he's going to be pretty strong just like any other hunter in this game. Next up with the C tier, we have Aluna, Felix, Hudson, and Void. Aluna is still all not that great, but the reality is that Zeph got worse, which gives her a little bit more opportunities to actually do things on the team. She can actually make Jewel hate her life a little bit more too, I'm not gonna lie, because when she does that full combo, picking up the wisp that she kills, it's going to make her whole combo a lot harder to pull off because she's just gonna have to continue doing it, and it's realistically just a skill check for the Jewel. I'm still desiring a little bit more from Aluna before I pick her over another DPS or support character, but she's not as bad as she was in previous metas. Next up, we have Felix, who is an all-in or nothing character. Strong characters all have some form of knockback right now though, which makes it really difficult for him to even go all in the first place. And when he has to use all of his cooldowns to get there and can still get countered, he definitely struggles quite a bit next to those strong characters. On top of this, anti-heal really isn't as important as it was in previous patches because Zeph got nerfed and Aluna isn't really getting played all that much. So everything that he really brings to the table isn't exactly the strongest right now. But then we have Hudson, who in the past was really good, and right now he's still pretty darn good at breaking Oath's shield. Problem is, because Oath just isn't as strong right now, he doesn't have somewhere to sit in the pocket and just shoot everyone anymore. And there's just better characters for doing the job of destroying the Oath shield in this meta, and that's why Hudson is really struggling to find his own place right now. But then we have Void, who is just simply too hard for most players. He struggles against characters that just want to keep their range, and the thing is, he could still be a beast and is by no means weak, even though he is in the C tier. It's just that it requires more to get out of this character than if you just played literally anyone else above him. And that's going to be a theme for the rest of this list. So moving on to B tier, we have Zeph, Celeste, Shiv, and Ghost. And I'm not going to lie, the nerfs to Zeph, they hit him pretty hard. While Jewel is also being so strong, it also makes his life extremely annoying since he can't just burst heal people to full, and all of Jewel's damage is essentially the burst through the dash on the stacked passives. It's probably the worst matchup for Zeph out of any other characters in the game, simply because he can't out heal and he also can't take the 1v1. I still think Zeph is good, I just don't think he is quite great. Next up though, we have Celeste, who is quite a lot stronger from last patch. If you recall, she was the bottom of D tier last patch, now she's in the middle of B, which still might be a little bit of a low rating for her. The thing is that she's just not as good at dealing with Jewel as compared to Oath, who has his wall essentially on a right click, where yours is an entire ability that you have to wait for. The thing is that's good about Celeste is that she's a lot less committal though. She can just kind of sit there and poke forever. But you know, I still think she is a pretty damn strong character, and you're not going to really go wrong if you're playing her in this meta, especially since now you don't have to deal with Hudson just destroying your wall anymore. But next up, we also have Shiv, who has to get pretty close to do anything. The thing is, and the reason why she's actually rated so highly on this list, is that she's really good at dealing with Oath's shield because she gets her dash reset off of that shield. So the thing is though, she needs time to deal with the Oath shield compared to other characters, but once it is down, she can absolutely take over and deal with that Oath very, very quickly. I still think there's better characters though, like I said, for taking out the Oath shield faster, but I don't think you're at a disadvantage playing Shiv in this meta. You're just, you know, tasked to really hit your shots and play with the character like you usually should have to. But now, to close out the B tier, we have Ghost, who's a lot more agile than Gunner, and I think that's why he's really going to not struggle as much against a lot of these characters. He absolutely depletes the Oath shield after these nerfs. It wasn't that way before, but trust me, going against a Ghost as Oath is not an easy task. The thing is that he still does get overwhelmed pretty easily without a speed boost, and considering the fact that Zeph isn't the strongest right now, he is going to have to play a little bit for himself. So I do think Ghost is pretty strong, but I don't think he's quite overtuned. Moving on into the A tier though, we have Kingpin, Brawl, Bishop, and Oath. Kingpin has the worst matchup into Jewel in the entire game in my opinion. And this is simply just because he is so darn big. You can't deny the value that you're going to get though out of a big hook at the start of a fight though. That's just a free pick and it's going to continue to stay that way. But the thing is that he could also absolutely destroy Oath as well if you are good at Kingpin. It's a skill matchup, but it's still something that's highly rewarding if you're good enough at the Kingpin. I still think Kingpin is on the GOAT list, even though he is a little bit weaker than he was last patch, so I don't think y'all should be sleeping on him either. But next up, we also have Brawl, who doesn't have the worst matchup into Jewel, although it isn't great. The thing with Brawl is that he's another character that makes Oath really hard to play and just absolutely pressures him just by being in the fight. On top of this, Brawl thrives in the chaos and will always be good in those pubbed ranked games that you're trying to play, but in scrims, even though this isn't really a scrims list, he does kind of fall off pretty hard in the late game. But next up, we have the ultimate Oath counter, Bishop. All it takes is Bishop existing to make Oath's life hell with explosive damage to the shield and a nice punch to the face. Outside of killing Oath though, she isn't really all that great, but it is a job that is important in this meta that she does deserve the A tier as a result. Oath is A tier solely because he exists to make the Thanos character not as terrifying. His nerfs make him a lot less consistent, and he's super hard to play now. From my point of view though, being an Oath main, I still think he's insane. He just takes a lot of time to get good with. The main interaction is that his shield just straight up blocks the Jewel dash and will deny all of the damage that she wants to do. But the thing is, you need to be able to play around your health and your shield health to make sure it's healthy so that when she goes for the dash, you can still block it. Everyone's going to be trying to break your shield. It's up to you to make sure it's healthy for as long as possible within the fight. But now we're moving on to the S tier. It's a very, very small S tier this time around. It's Jewel and Myth. Jewel is not the top character, but she is still insane and absolutely meta-defining. She's like the new Brawl from last patch. She absolutely destroys teams, but it all starts from range instead of being up close like Brawl has to be. The only thing she has to think about is the Oath shield, and if you're very good with her, you are going to be good in this meta. But now, last but not least, the best character on this patch, in my eyes, is Myth. She is the most consistent character across all skill levels. She demolishes Oath shield with explosive damage from her kit. Also, she has excellent knockback with her right click to keep enemies away, and does nutty damage with her ultimate as well that just absolutely destroys teams. Oh, and by the way, she also has great escape options with her dash. All in all, there's really no weakness that this character has right now, other than if her whole team dies before she can just poke and get set up. But in the meta now, with everything getting nerfed, she has the time to do this, and she's going to be the best character in the game, at least in my opinion. And that closes out the list for this winter patch. I look forward to covering the fireside chat coming up this Thursday for you all, and can't wait to see where the game is headed in January with more hunters, more events, and overall just more SUPERVIVE. Thank you guys all so much for watching. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.